Especially documentation has been an area we haven't done a good job. Again, microfinance with its outreach, with its capacity to enhance the scope of its activities can help with the documentation of the economy. Also, fiscal deficits in Pakistan have prevented us from really allowing a lot of money to be available to the development sectors, because governments have been borrowing a lot of the money from commercial banks and so on. So this combination of microfinance along with tackling the issues of low savings, low investment, problem of financial inclusion and documentation, and above all, it's a good instrument for uplifting the people at the bottom of the pyramid, as they say, and trying to tackle the real problem of poverty. So all this can happen if we preserve a macroeconomic environment that's stable. A good thing about the microfinance sector is that it's a good forum for bringing together a lot of people who play an important part in the economy. The governments, which have to design good policies and implement them and provide a good regulatory framework. The private sector, which obviously has to perform if we are to fulfill our economic goals. The international agencies, which are able to bring good quality experience from the rest of the world, as well as financing in some cases. And above all, the community, because this is an important vehicle for combining the energy of our citizens with our financial sector, the government, and the international best practice knowledge institutions. So I think how do we go about achieving a platform of macro stability? So I would spend maybe 3 to 4 minutes talking about where we are in terms of an environment in which these kind of initiatives can have a better chance of success. As you know, this government inherited a pretty grim economic situation. The debts were at their highest level, the fiscal deficits were at their highest level, the current account deficits were at their highest level ever. But I think after 15 months of effort and serious work and collaboration with the international community, we are beginning to see a turnaround, and we are beginning to see the economic environment getting more stable, more importantly, getting recognized as having achieved stability. So what are some of the things that are giving us hope that now things are turning around? First, as you know, we have a program with the International Monetary Fund, and they just concluded the review of our first quarter. And their review stated that all the structural benchmarks agreed with the government were met by comfortable margins. So this was a very strong outside acknowledgement about the government's seriousness and capacity to deliver agreed results. Second, is beginning to show a lot of confidence in this government, more importantly in this country, and the opportunities it offers. Portfolio investment in our bond market has reached $1 billion, which has never happened before. So that's a sign that international investors are beginning to think that this is an area which offers tremendous economic opportunity and a transparent way of doing business. Third, if you see the foreign direct investment figures of this year, compare it the latest month, they have reached $650 million in 1 month, which is a 286% increase over the same time last year. So that's another show of confidence. Also, if you see what the rest of the world is saying about us, Bloomberg has just given the figures that in dollar terms, the stock market in Pakistan, if you take the last 3 months, has been the best performing stock market in the entire world. So that is a tremendous articulation of facts. These are facts. These are not partisans. Bloomberg is not a partisan. IMF is not a partisan. And above all, Moody's, which is the global institution whose job it is to rate companies as well as rate governments on their economic situation. They just came day before yesterday and switched Pakistan's rating from negative to stable. So that is again a huge thing, and it's not about just the government getting any credit. This Moody's upgrading of Pakistan's rating is a show of confidence, and we all as Pakistanis should be happy about it, because this is a statement to the rest of the world that this is an area where you should look at seriously, because it has reached a level of stability on the economic side. Why are they saying all these things? Because the numbers are speaking for themselves. Exports, which had been stagnant for the last 5 years, have achieved a 10%, 9.6% growth rate in this past month alone. Current account deficit, which we inherited at $20 billion, the highest ever, became a surplus for the first time in many years last month. Fiscal deficit adjusted for interest payments, which we call primary balance, was surplus during the first quarter of this year. So the incentives given to the exporters in terms of no taxes on the export sector, subsidization of electricity and gas and even loans, because we want to promote exports. And as a result of that, you are beginning to see Pakistan making this transition away from being a largely import-oriented economy to one where the focus is shifting towards exports and earning of dollars, so that the people of Pakistan can improve the quality of their life. And I think all these things are combining in a good way to create a stable environment in which initiatives of the sort that you are taking can thrive. Now turning to the sector itself. See, the way I see it is there are 3 or 4 questions that we need to ask, because it's very important we pose the right questions. If we do not pose the right question, we can spend a lot of time maybe coming out with answers to the wrong questions. So this is my humble opinion. I'm sure you are experts, know much more than I do. But I see that the first thing is, how do we go about reducing the cost of doing business in this sector? Which means both the interest costs as well as, Nadim was saying, the processing costs. This is question number 1. And we have to come up with a good answer to that. Second is, how do we increase access? How do we actually scale up? The third is, how do we enhance the impact? And what does impact mean? In terms of jobs, in terms of tackling poverty, in terms of altering the results of the projects. Then, how do we keep learning, both from successes elsewhere and successes within the country? Which institutions are doing better? Which areas are doing better? Which sectors or industries are doing better? Which type of borrowers are doing better? Because, as you know, more and more we have to switch from a kind of we have to switch to evidence-based thinking and continuously learning from experience, both our own as well as others. And then to say, okay, what can we, as a finance minister, I expect that I will be told, what can I do for you? Do we need to design the incentives better? Do we need to, do some kind of financial intermediation?